learning about routers can be extremely overwhelming. So I really want to break it down into two simple functions. Two very simple functions. Number one, the router has to determine the best path in order to get to all the different networks. Some of the networks are going to be directly connected to the router. Like we see here, this router has, in the routing table, 3 directly connected networks listed. So these are networks that the router has an IP address locally part of. So 10120 is part of the fast Ethernet 0/0 interfaces network. So I have an IP address on fast Ethernet 0/0 in the 10120 network. Fast Ethernet 0/1 is part of the 10110 network. I have an IP address on fast Ethernet 0/1 that is in that network. And then that serial interface of 000 is part of the 10830 network. That means I have an IP address on serial 000 that's part of the 10830 network. So these are all directly connected networks. So you will always have directly connected networks in your routing table based on IP addresses you have on interfaces. But after that, you have to learn everything. You could learn everything statically, or you can learn it through dynamic routing protocols. And in this example, you can see we learned about the 10130 network. So the 10130 network is reachable via some other router. That's what that IP address there is, 10122. So there's some other router that we can reach with the IP address of 10122. It happens to be router B in this case. That will get us to 10130. So let's say we have this PC right here that wants to send a packet over to this PC here. Well, this PC sends it, it arrives at the router. So the router then analyzes the packet. Let's say the destination in this case is 10135. So 10135, not 50, but 5, okay? Dot 5. So 10135, that's the destination. So the router does a routing table lookup. Do I know how to get to 10135? Well, look at this. We have an entry in our table right down at the very bottom, don't we? 10130. So 10135 falls within 10130. And that brings us up to the next function, and that is packet forwarding. You see, I received the packet from the PC in that network. Now I have to forward it. So if I don't have information in my routing table, if I have not determined a path, number 1, then there's no way I can forward a packet, number 2. So now I have an entry in the table, 10130. It says go to via 10122. All right, let's forward that packet. Away it goes. And there we go. So now it's reached there. And then router B would do the same thing. So every router has 2 responsibilities. That is, number 1, determine the path. Number 2, once you know the path, you can forward packets by doing routing table lookups.